So I ran some calculations to find out how much these new tariffs will increase the price of water bottles in the United States. And I based the numbers on one of the most popular water bottles on the market right now, Owala. So here's what happened. Trump recently announced reciprocal tariffs on a wide range of countries. And at the top of that list is China. And that's really significant because that's where the vast majority of water bottles that are used in the United States are manufactured. The way that I understand it, the total tariff rate for most goods will increase to 54% when they come from China. Now, I'm not going to get into the details about how that 34% reciprocal tariff was calculated. Honestly, it doesn't even deal with tariffs. It's actually a reconfiguration and a different way to represent what the trade deficit is. But if you'd like to learn more about that, I'll leave a link to an article in the description. But beyond the semantics and the political jargon that you're hearing everywhere, the reality is that tariffs on Chinese-made bottles will increase from about 10% to 54% this year. So what does that actually mean for the retail price? Well, I made this chart to give my best estimate on how this is going to impact the sales price. So this shows the calculation for a roughly $35 Owala bottle. It's 32 ounces. So the manufacturing cost, I took a look at some comparable bottles on Alibaba and came up to about $2 to $3 per bottle. So I split that and went with $2.50. And tariffs before were 10% of the manufacturing cost, so 25 cents. So you add in the freight, you add in the Amazon referral fee, you add in the Amazon fulfillment fee, which is for someone to actually package up each unit and send it out. And then you have other fees like storage and things like that. Comes to a total cost of roughly $14.50. Now the sales price is roughly $35. So when you subtract out that total cost, you end up with a profit of roughly $20.50. So it's a profit of almost 59%, which is pretty healthy. But keep in mind that profit margin has to cover a wide range of things like wages for personnel, returns and customer service, rent for whichever building they have or whatever payments they have associated with that, utilities, development of new bottles and new lids, things like that. So there's a range of costs that profit is meant to cover. Now let's look at the updated table here to see what 44% of additional tariffs might do to that final retail price. If you assume that Owala wants to keep the same profit margin, then the way the math works out is that the retail price will increase from $34.99 up to $37.64. So that's a price increase of $2.65. Now, that doesn't sound like a lot at first, right? But here's another way to think about it. The average inflation rate in the United States recently peaked at 7% in 2021, followed by 6.5% in 2022. The thing is, a $2.65 increase for an Owala bottle is 7.59%. So that's already higher than the inflation for the worst year that we've had in over 30 years in the United States. And on top of that, you need to include the fact that inflation still exists in the background in general. Last year in 2024, inflation had dropped from the peak in 2021 of 7% down to about 2.9%. So if you factor in a 2.9% increase on this retail price here of $37.64, that increases the price to $38.74. And because these new tariffs are so wide-ranging and because other countries will not just sit back and take it without enacting their own tariffs, the costs on just about everything that you can purchase is going to increase, either because the direct materials cost goes up or because the companies that provide that, even if they're based in the United States, have higher costs in general. So I would absolutely expect this manufacturing cost of $2.50, whatever that number actually is, it's going to go up, along with the freight, along with the Amazon referral fee, because the actual price will be higher. Amazon fulfillment fee will likely go up as well because you'll have increased costs of things like boxes and tape, and just all the fees across the board are going to increase. So if anything, this number is very conservative. But with all of that in mind, I'm thinking a probable landing point, at least in the next year or so, for an Owala 32-ounce bottle, maybe $39.99. And that's primarily just because of the increased tariffs and the ripple effects that has on both the world economy and inflation. Now, it's possible this may encourage people to buy new bottles only when they really need them. And honestly, that's not a bad thing. Overconsumption is a very big problem, and I've talked about it a lot here. And one of the main goals of this channel is to help you find the right bottle the first first time. But the fact is that these kind of tariffs are going into place in such a broad and seemingly uncontrolled manner that prices are about to go up for just about everything for just about everyone, and it's going to be painful. So the inflation from a few years ago, it's very likely that we're about to see something much worse than that. So I'm just a guy who talks way too much about water bottles, but all I can say is buckle up because it looks like life is about to get a lot more expensive. Thanks again and happy hydrating.